Welcome to this video on free intraday data. Feel free to pause the video and rewind if you wish to review any of the data that I discussed throughout the video. I would appreciate a like or a subscription to my channel if you find the information helpful. This is the website which was created out of the need to have a more exhaustive list of intraday data. It is freeintradaydata.com, and it gives you a complete list of time data going back to the 1st of November 2019. I picked the 1st of November 2019 purely to give you a lead in if you're going to develop strategies beginning at January 2020, so you have a lead in for the calculation of technical indicators. There is a full list of tickers available for download. The range of tickers is detailed down in the list down below, and each particular list has a hyperlink. So you have major currencies, all other currencies, index funds, commodities, crypto and stocks. There's a separate hyperlink for each exchange. Now if you download the list of tickers and run the Excel file which is included in the download, you will get a nicely formatted list of tickers themselves. So I'll bring that up and let you have a look at it. It is arranged by exchange. After exchange it's ordered by sector, and then finally alphabetical order in tickers. Now you may care to just sort by exchange and then ticker and leave out the sector sort. That's entirely up to you. And of course if you download the CSV file you'll have to do the sort from the beginning anyway. So you can see as we scroll down through it, you can see that we're up to Great Britain. Now we're on to NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, and then finally underneath that we'll have a list of well, this is a list of commodities, cryptocurrencies, actual currencies, and then finally exchange traded funds. There's 1,200 symbols in total. We'll just go back to that website for a moment. There is one big file which you can download, which is everything included, which is over 5 gigabytes in size. As I mentioned a moment ago, I have hyperlinks for the various individual groups. And just a note, if you're using Phuket Trader program, to when you download the zip file, unzip it from the file called Phuket Trader Data, because it will automatically create subdirectories underneath the location of the zip file itself. Now on to the data downloader. Now this program is available, it's available for purchase, but there is a free evaluation. It is fully featured, it's just that you can only review 3 months of data at a time. The download is in the form of a zip file. If we just go back to our Data Explorer and we go back to the zip file, it will be either data export advanced.zip or data export evaluation.zip. We click on that, you can see that inside the zip file is an exe file. Now that file needs to go into your MetaTrader installation scripts directory. So if we go back to MetaTrader itself and select File, Open Data Folder, MQL5 and Scripts, that is where that particular exe file needs to go. Just one handy hint: if you're in this area, just drag the subdirectory under terminal onto your quick access, and I've already done that so I won't do it again, but that then means that you can access this directory, which we will need to access later on with the downloads. You can access that without going through your MetaTrader 5 installation. And one other point regarding the script file, we just go back to MetaTrader 5. You notice here that we're using Pepperstone. Now I do recommend Pepperstone. It has, from my experience, the most exhaustive list of tickers available. You can select your own MT5 provider, but you do select your own MT5 provider, make sure that you do download the custom list from them, and I will include that file in the download. So there is a script to download a complete list of symbols available from your own particular MT5 provider. The other thing to mention is under Tools you have Options, and under Options you have Charts. Make sure that you have selected unlimited amount of bars. You may default to 100,000 or even 50,000, but make sure you select unlimited. When you click on OK, restart your MetaTrader 5 platform. You will need to restart it, otherwise it will not recognize that you have an unlimited amount of data available. And of course, when you restart it within your scripts file, your script data export advanced or valuation will show up. I'm just going to take it out of here for the moment and we'll load it back in. And just click on remove, and we'll drag it on as an example onto your any chart within your MetaTrader 5 installation. So we'll probably default to this tab here, but you need to change to the scripts tab. No need to check anything, you can leave them both unchecked. Go into the inputs area. We'll just briefly discuss each input, and I'll come back and give you a bit further elaboration on each input. So you've got an option to nominate a ticker or a group of tickers separated by commas. All you need to do is to reference your list that you downloaded, and just click on any of the lines that you need, and then use the control button and continue clicking, and put the list of tickers into a new worksheet, and just save the worksheet as CSV, and that will give you your own custom list. The default values that you have, or default input, is just a list of major currencies. If you double click on that, and by the way, anything to do with this little icon out the side has drop down values, so we'll double click on this and you can see the groups that have already been made available. First one is your custom list, which I just mentioned. You will reference that in the next line down, and you have other lists available there. If you don't reference the custom list, just leave the next input blank, and you have a number of filters for the list that you're using. For instance, if we were to select all stocks, you can then filter it by exchange here. So there's a drop down for that, so you have the list of exchanges. And similarly, if you want to filter it by sector, you've got a drop down to indicate the sector that you want. And finally, industry. Now, industries are, if you like, subsectors. So within basic materials, you have a list of industries, and there's quite a few industries available. We're not going to use a filter at the moment. And then you've got start and end date. You've got the option to select time frames. It can be all time frames or individual time frames. Double click individual time frames. Just whilst we're on that one, you'd have the option to download tick data if that's what you want. Tick data files are very large, around about 2.5 gigabytes per year, so be very mindful of the date time group that you're selecting there. The GMT time difference from GMT, so Pepperstone MetaTrader is 2 hours ahead, non-daylight saving. Don't worry about the daylight saving periods, because they're automatically programmed into the script itself. And finally, you have the option to select the data format that you want. This is the standard MetaTrader 5 data format, but you can change it to a format of your own needs, and you can, for instance, drop year, and just go back to year. Don't forget the month is capitalized, the time format, the hours must be capitalized. You can include another colon and SS for seconds. It's your call. Similarly with the presentation of the data, you can go open, close, high, low, and leave volume out or include volume. So these are the things that you can put in that template. If you then have a custom set of inputs, don't forget you do have the save button to save them, optionally save them. So we go ahead and download the major currencies. This is going to take probably 5 to 10 minutes, so I will pause the video once the download is in progress. So you can see we've selected the major currency group with no filters. We've input an end date so that it's not appending data. If you leave the end date blank, the data will be appended to the end of the existing data. And by the way, it will only go up to the end of the previous calendar day, so you can't have half days accidentally mixed up with full days. And we're ready to start. We've selected 2 hours and leave the format as standard. Once we click on OK, you can see now that it comes up with the first file that it's dealing with. You can see that it's now processing AUD USD. So the first file will be the minute file, and it's going to be fairly long. It'll be probably 65 megabytes in size, going back to 2019. You can see now it's moved on to the 515, and of course as the time frame increases, the file size is smaller. So I'm just going to pause that until we get towards the end, and we'll come back and have a look at the result. Getting towards the end now, we're on the final currency pair, and it's just processing the 1 minute time frames, and this has been in progress for probably 4 or 5 minutes at the moment, but we've downloaded a significant amount of data commencing. Well, there we have the finished signal now. Now, where has all this data gone? Well, if I draw your attention to the fact that we're in the scripts directory before. If we go back to MQL file, all the downloaded data goes into the files directory under MQL5. So as I was to click on the files directory, you can see this list of data. And if we were to look at the minute file, this is USD JPY 1 minute. You can see that it's a fairly big file. It's 68 megabytes in size. Now you can open that however you like. We just open it in a text editor just to have a look at the amount of data. I'll right click and click on open. This is the 1 minute data. If we look down the bottom here, you can see that we've got 1.3 million lines of data, and that finishes on the 31st of May 2023. The interesting thing here is that it's finishing around about 9 p.m. at night. You might say, well, why is it not finishing at midnight? Well, I can tell you the answer for that. It is 3 hours removed. The platform time is 3 hours removed from GMT because it's in a daylight savings time period in Eastern Europe, and that's where the platform works its time from. So if you look back at the beginning, you can see it starts at the 31st of October 2019. There's only a 2-hour time difference there because it's not in daylight savings time. Now, we briefly touched on another aspect that I wanted to discuss in more detail, and that is if we bring up this expert advisor, the script, when we look at properties, I mentioned that we had the option to not go for time data. And you can see if we double click on time frames, we have this option, tick data. So very big files in tick data, as I mentioned. 1 year is 2.5 gigabytes, so be very careful with your selections there. But you can download tick data as well. Just click on cancel. Just in summary, we've just about completed the video. I'll just go back to, just hit cancel there, go back to the video. You don't need to be involved with the downloader if you don't feel that way inclined. You do have a fairly comprehensive amount of data in both all time frames, I should say, and these are all the groups here. You have a full list of groups which you've downloaded. You can, if you don't have the spreadsheet, you can use a text editor to open the CSV files. It's just that they won't be nicely formatted and sorted for you. If you have a spreadsheet, you can still use the CSV files and do your own sorting to get the list of tickers in your own format that you like. There's the general list that are available, and they are available right back to 2019. Don't forget the sponsor, PhuketSystems.com. Phuket Trader is a very, very valuable program to have a good look at, and it is free. There is a limitation on the amount of automatic optimizations it can do, but it's virtually completely featured in the free version. So look, I hope to see you in future videos, and thank you for your participation.